What's good, sports fans? My name is Stuart V for Venom Sports, and man, we spit that fire. Now, I know everybody remembers the University of South Carolina Gamecocks from the Steve Spurrier area. Now, he started out kind of slow as their coach. He was replacing the retiring Lou Holtz, and first year went 7-5. He was, but the thing about that was he was SEC 2005 SEC Coach of the Year. 2006, started to see some more success, posting an 8-5 record and a victory over Houston in the Liberty Bowl. After that, 2008, 2009, South Carolina posted consecutive 7-6 records, appeared and also having postseason play appearances. Now, in 2010, this is when things really started to get real good for the University of South Carolina. That year, they posted their first SEC Eastern Division Championship in school history. And the way they did that was on November 13, 2010, they defeated Florida 36-14. That's right. Steve Spurrier defeated his old school to clinch the division. Prior to that contest, University of South Carolina had an all-time record of 0-12 at the Swamp. So this was huge for a program who was just plagued by mediocrity, given that historically South Carolina had only won about 50% of their games. All-time record 602, 572, and 44. And historically, they only have one ACC conference championship. That's when they win the ACC. Only one division title in the SEC, and that was back in 2010. So this Steve Spurrier era was huge for South Carolina. After that, in 2011, was just as big as well for Steve Spurrier and the South Carolina Gamecocks. They had their most successful season in program history. The Gamecocks posted an 11-2 overall record, went 6-2 in SEC play, and they defeated number 20 Nebraska in the Capital One Bowl, and they finished number 8 to end the season. Now, here was the big part about this 2011 campaign. They beat Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, and Clemson in the same season for the first time in program history. In 2012, it was all the same. They went 11-2 that season and played Michigan. They played Michigan in the Outback Bowl. And man, when I tell you the best hit in college football history, this is what really put South Carolina on the map, was when Davian Clowney knocked the Michigan player's head off. Man, that was incredible to watch. Now, things started to kind of decline for South Carolina after this. They started out pretty strong at home in 2014, beating Texas A&M. It appeared that, South Carolina was going to be poised for another great season, but this season ended disappointingly as Steve Spurrier actually left in the middle of the season. They will go on and go 3-9. So now I say that to say this: is it possible that South Carolina can get to that level of prominence that they had during this Steve Spurrier era? I really think so. The Gamecocks hired on Will Muschamp as their new coach back in December of 2015. Now, Will Muschamp had just done a brief stint returning back to one of the schools that he coached at Auburn, where he had a halfway decent year defensively. He really didn't have much to work with at Auburn. But after 1 year, he and Travaris Robinson took their show on the road to South Carolina, which is where we stand now. The Gamecocks' 2016 campaign ended with a 46-39 loss in overtime to the South Carolina Bulls in the Birmingham Bowl. But 2017 gives the South Carolina faithful reason to believe that South Carolina can have some success with Will Muschamp. Will Muschamp led the Gamecocks to a 9-4 season. The season started with a nice win over NC State in the belt kickoff game. In conference play, this was huge for South Carolina. They defeated 5 SEC schools: Florida, Tennessee, Missouri, Vanderbilt, and Arkansas, and they finished second in the SEC East and defeated Michigan in the 26-19 in the Outback Bowl. I really like what I see coming out of South Carolina. I don't believe this will be the year. I think they're going to be very competitive. Probably going to be number 2 in the SEC East again, behind Georgia. They have a lot of promise. They have a great coaching staff, and I look forward to seeing where if the South Carolina program can get back to the same level of prominence during the years of the Steve Spurrier era. Now, you all like, comment, subscribe. Man, I really appreciate y'all tuning in. This is Venom Sports, where we spit that fire.